Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good whatever time it is, wherever you are, whoever you are, welcome once again to Nerd Week Live, the show in which we, the folks at Nerd Caliber, talk about nerd news that has happened over the previous week. I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, first-person shooter on Facebook as a cosplay photographer, Burley_adopter on Twitter, a couple of other places doing a bunch of other things. Joining me tonight, with the weather-appropriate toque, it's dropped down to 8 degrees here on the beautiful coast of Massachusetts. I have no idea what it is in
It's
the
Paul
Merrimack.
McGann degrees out here.
It's what?
Paul McGann degrees.
Ooh, deep Doctor Who cut. Wow.
Yep. That's what I'm
All
here
right,
for.
anyway, Byron, introduce yourself.
Hello. It is I, Byron McNeil, aka Byron D0, on multiple facets of the internet. Contributing writer, content creator, social media consultant, social media associate.
Sure.
Yep. Okay. Been with Nerd Caliber for roughly 5 years now, right? At least.
Oh, at least 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also do a little bit of art. Got a webtoon series that I'm just finishing up my third episode on called Sisterhoods. It is a very heavily inspired Little Red Riding Hood story. It's post-apocalyptic. It turns the wolf or wolves in this case into mutants that overrun society, and the only soldiers that are full that have the strength to take them out are the Crimson Hood Army, the Sisterhood.
Ooh, cool. Kind of anime-ish.
Yes,
I like the idea.
yes, very anime-ish. It's
Cool.
a it's a passion project I've been working on for many years. Check it out. 2 words: Sisterhoods.
On Webtoons.
Yes, coming. I got a new episode coming out this week.
Awesome. Very cool. Check it out, folks. Already joining us in the chat, Red Hood Gaming. Welcome to the show. Luminous, welcome back. Luminous says, I've got ribs for dinner. Luminous, I hate you. I don't hate you, of course. But
I had chopped cheese for dinner.
You had what?
I had chopped cheese for dinner.
Oh, there you go. I had cheese too. I had a bacon and cheese quesadilla. Tried to eat light
Ooh.
before the show, you know.
Fair enough.
Otherwise, I'm yawning all show.
So yeah, the itis.
Yes. So if you see me, yawn during any of these live shows, I've probably had too big a dinner. Anyway, that's way too much information about me. You don't need to know any of that sort of stuff. What you do need to know is that in addition to YouTube, which is where we've already said hello to people, and Facebook Live, we stream on Twitch. That is our URL right there, twitch.tv/nerdcaliber. If you have a Twitch account, I would love for you to go visit that URL, and if you are of a mind, to follow us there. And we'd love to build up our followers on YouTube or on Twitch like we have on YouTube and other places. And what else was I going to promote before we get into the news? I don't know. I guess that's it. So we're going to start right off. And this is, technically it's the biggest news of the week, really, in nerddom and, gaming and business and so on. That is Farmville 3, the not exactly the latest, but the most well-known latest release back in November, just a few months ago, from Zynga. Zynga is the gigantic mobile games developer behind Words with Friends, Farmville, a bunch of other things. They are getting bought by Take-Two Interactive for $12.7 billion.
Ooh.
That is the biggest video game acquisition ever.
They are they are the face of mobile gaming pretty much.
They are. If you look at the actual announcement PowerPoint presentation that Take-Two put out, they are anticipating immediately an annual revenue bump from getting Zynga of $600 million per year. Well, nice. Annual per year. That's redundant, but yeah. So assuming that they don't grow any, and of course they will, that's going to pay itself off in, a dozen years or so, probably less. Um, Zynga is going to become the mobile games unit, and the CEO of Zynga and the president of publishing of Zynga are going to be running this mobile games unit for Take Two, even though Take Two already has a mobile games unit called T2 Mobile Games. So, sorry for those people.
So now they have like all their assets at the disposal, including the servers, right?
Yes, yeah, they will own Zynga 100%. And all Zynga
Wow.
stuff will come into, yeah, it's a complete deal, cash and stock. They're gonna, pay both cash and shares of Take Two stock to all Zynga shareholders. Um,
This could be a big shot in the arm for Take Two, and like if they play the cards right, because you have like you don't hear a lot about like Zynga games crashing or their servers being garbage or even their net code. Like they've got some, like they've been in this game since like long before we got to the point where you can play Facebook games via cloud on your phone now.
right.
So they know like this is going to be a huge shot in the arm for them.
Yeah, I think that's certainly the case. I mean, not just obviously they're going to be getting all the revenue that Zynga already brings in, um, but they mentioned in every instance when they talked about what the synergy was going to be or what Zynga's going to bring to the game, it was mobile and console, mobile and console, mobile and console. So I
Oh,
bet that they are going to be looking at doing ports of either existing Take Two IP to
Silverware.
I don't know. I mean, would you want Red Dead Redemption on the Switch? If they can put Halo on the Switch, there's no reason to think that they can't. I mean, obviously they have to dumb down the graphics quite a bit, but that they can't put Red Dead or
I mean, look what they've done with like Guardians of the Galaxy
yep,
and Hitman. Like it's capable. Like there's like with those servers at their disposal, they can make cloud versions of these games, and they could be outstanding.
yep, yeah. And Rockstar is a subsidiary of Take Two, of course. 2K
Ooh,
Games.
Rockstar. They can finally put GTA Online via the cloud.
Yep. Now, frankly, I think it probably already is. I don't know whether Stadia or Nvidia or any of the other cloud gaming services have it,
Yeah.
but native port to a console is not a thing, and that would be pretty impressive for even Bioshock. And the Bioshock graphics, I don't think they would have to do anything with, but you know, Bioshock Switch port in next year. Count on it, folks.
Well, I mean that we do have Bioshock Infinite on the Switch.
Oh, we do already? Oh, cool. I didn't know that. See,
I
that's
bought it. I bought it when on sale.
oh nice. Not having a Switch, I wouldn't know what's available for them. Anyway,
Yeah, a
so
Switch.
that's
One of us. One of us.
one of us. That is the big news to start off. Deal was supposed to close this June, assuming all the regulators say it's okay. I can't see anybody having a problem with this, even the European regulators. So yeah, expect interesting things coming out of Take Two at the next E3, and that's a foreshadowing for a story coming up later. All right, we talked about this a while back. That is cover art for one of the original publications of Octavia Butler's absolutely influential speculative fiction work, Kindred. And we talked about the fact that it was in development for a series. Well, the news is it is no longer just in development. FX has given a series order to Kindred to be an 8-episode series.
Wow.
And I knew some of these names, but some of them are kind of a surprise to me. So it will star Mallory Johnson, who's a newcomer, who's nothing to know really about her career. But the writer is going to be is Brandon Jacobs Jenkins, who was a writer on HBO's Watchmen, which was both a brilliant update of Watchmen and one of the most wonderfully racially aware stories that HBO has put out in a long time. It is really amazing.
Also, one
Um,
of the best depictions of Rorschach outside of the original comic.
well, the movie or so I'm talking about HBO series. Rorschach
Yes.
wasn't in the
Well,
HBO
yeah, like
series.
Rorschach posthumously, but still.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, the idea of all of the right wing conservative, idiots, basically following along Rorschach's obvious right wing conservative leanings and just taking that on. Anyway, go watch the show. Don't have time to talk about it here. But I didn't realize this that one of the producers, so the producers include Joe Weisberg, who was behind the FX show The Americans, Joel Fields, who was behind the FX show Fosse Verdon,
Mm.
and Darren Aronofsky. Um, Brilliant filmmaker Darren Aronofsky is one of the producers behind this series. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to
Wow.
it.
So that's my they're not playing around. I mean, this is coming from the House of Mouse now, so
Well, yeah, that's true. Technically, FX is a predominantly owned subsidiary of Disney. Um, and I guess that may be where all the money is coming from. Apparently the pilot, which is they saw the pilot, the executives at FX saw the pilot and just went, "Yep, give me that,
sign me up.
sign me up." Apparently the pilot was directed and executive produced by the director of the recent sort of indie hit, big con hit Zola.
Hmm.
So yeah, they've got some interesting people behind this series. So I'm very much looking forward to it. The story
I,
may have unfortunately kind of been done. It was very innovative in the late 70s when it came out, um, but it is kind of sort of been done. Um, so we'll see how they keep it fresh or make it fresh.
doesn't it lean into Afrofuturism some too?
Well, the whole you're thinking of Parable of Sowers or Parable of the Sower or so on. This is pretty much just a standalone novel about, well, actually, maybe connected in a larger universe. I'd have to look it up. But so the main character, Dana, is current modern day, starting her whole life, brand new, away from her family in Los Angeles, and winds up experiencing some sort of time bounce that puts her back into a 19th century plantation. Um,
Oh, wow,
yeah, so
heavy.
very heavy.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah. So anyway, it's like I said, super influential. It was a hugely critically praised book when it came out. Um, so I'm looking forward to that. No sense of exactly when it's going to premiere. It doesn't say in here, unfortunately. Another thing we don't know for sure when it's going to happen, but boy, I like this idea. So that is actually from the recent re-release, or I guess collected release of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game. What's called the Complete Edition. This isn't about the game. This is actually about a new anime that is going to be produced of the Scott Pilgrim comic series. And the reason I picked this is because this artwork is from Brian O'Malley, the creator of the Scott Pilgrim comic books.
Now, Ronnie, I have to say, I'm surprised you didn't take a snippet from the Adult Swim prequel short that came out before the movie was released.
So my searches for images are based on something large enough to actually portray properly. And if I didn't
Okay,
see one
fair
like
enough.
that, there's just no way, I can't grab it.
Yeah, like no one really talks about that prequel anyway,
Yeah,
which is a shame.
I didn't even know it existed, frankly, until you just mentioned it.
Do yourself a favor and look it up however you can.
I will. So this is going to be on Netflix. Netflix and a division of Universal called UCP is going to be producing it. They are UCP and Universal Studios are behind The Umbrella Academy and Chucky,
Ooh.
two recent Netflix hits. All right, Twitch. Why are you showing me that? Click here to reload the player. Okay, my Twitch player is screwing up. Looks like we're still good streaming on the other platforms, though. Okay,
Yep, we are.
good. Um, and Brian O'Malley is writing and executive producing this upcoming anime. Um, so,
That's awesome.
yep. And apparently, an awful lot of people involved in the Edgar Wright movie from 2010 are going to be involved in this from a production standpoint.
Ooh.
Not the cast.
So Michael Cera might be involved.
Not the cast, as far as we know.
Uh,
Might, could
well,
be, but they're not saying anything like that.
At the very least, I would love to see Lucas Lee reprised by Chris Evans.
Oh, that would be hilarious. I don't know. He does all sorts of very interesting things.
Talking to you.
I mean, just like the fact that he is it's super spoiler. Well, I won't even do that. I was going to do a spoiler for a recent movie that he has a little bit part in, but I think Michael Cera would be great because I think he did a fantastic job. I would also be interested in hearing somebody else do it because in the comics, Scott is not quite as whiny.
Yeah.
And I think that interpretation of Scott was really funny, but it's also not exactly the way he's portrayed in the comics. And I'd like to see somebody else do a little bit more of a sort of a punk.
He was a lot more confident in the comics too.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to envision Michael Cera's whiny Scott as the lady killer that Scott is.
And the toughest fighter in Ontario.
Right. Maybe they'll get Jared Kizo from Letterkenny to do it.
Yes.
Because that would be very meta.
Yes. Your balls tug, man.
Yes. So again, we don't know when this is going to happen. It's Netflix, so again, they generally don't tell a lot of information beforehand, but it is happening,
Confirm.
And I am really excited about it. All right, this I had to dig this one.
Reference, I swear.
That's
my last Letterkenny reference, I swear.
Okay. Well, yeah, because we're getting out of Letterkenny stuff. We're getting into werewolf territory. This is, I think, from the very first issue of Werewolf by Night, the Marvel comic. And the news is, so we talked about the fact that before in a show months ago, I think, that Marvel was, or Disney Plus, Marvel Studios, was planning on making a Halloween special for Disney Plus based on the Werewolf by Night. And they have cast Gael Garcia Bernal to play the lead character, who in the comic is quite unfortunately named Jack Russell. I'm going to guess that they're probably going to change that because otherwise they'd have to lean into it heavily. Anyway, the news is they have also cast in an unnamed role Laura Donnelly, who is currently in the HBO series The Nevers, to be alongside Garcia Bernal in this special.
What do you completely ballpark? What do you think this role could be?
Well, so the speculation here in this Deadline article is that she might be playing Nina Price, who is introduced a little bit later on in the series, but uses the title Vampire by Night. And it's sort of a vampire version of Jack. When Jack turns into a werewolf, he is mostly still pretty human sentient. There's kind of a haze of rage and so on that he's not as sharp as he normally is, but he's definitely, I don't think he can communicate. He can't talk through those teeth, but he is definitely still aware and intelligent.
Enough to fight crime.
Yeah, fight more monsters than crime. I mean, Werewolf by Night was deep into their,
yes,
their monster verse, as it were.
All I can say is that we could possibly be one step closer to Frankencastle.
Frankencastle?
It's a long story, but Punisher dies and he's reborn as Frankenstein's monster, or yeah, or like a
Could
stand-in for
could
a
be,
stand-in for.
could be. What I'm thinking is, because if it does happen, it happens this coming. Actually, you know what? I'm not sure which comes out before then. So, in the comics, Moon Knight was introduced in Werewolf by Night. That's where he first appeared as an opponent
Ooh,
for Jack Russell. So, I can't remember whether Moon Knight comes out before this October. But if it's after that, this could be where we also get our first look at Moon Knight.
that would be so dope.
Yeah. Or even if it does come up before then, Moon Knight could be an important character within this special. And who knows whether it then spins off to become an actual series on its own instead of just a Halloween special.
I mean, the like has done its fair share of subversion with characters.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
we might this movie could be like a follow up to the Moon Knight series. We don't know.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So, or even they're not calling it a movie; they are calling it a special. So I'm assuming it's going to be movie length, but who knows? Um, anyway, so looking forward to that. Really good people involved in it, so can't wait to see that. All right, so we got two pieces up here that are sort of connected. The first is this past week, E3 announced that even though the con isn't happening until June, it is going to be, like it has been for the last 2 years, virtual only. There will not be a show floor. There will not be audiences in attendance, which this picture, I had to look this up. This was from 2018 with all those people there in the audience at the Devil May Cry 5 announcement. And connected to that, and of course the decision is entirely based on Omicron and the insane spike in cases and hospitalizations. That same week, we got the announcement that Star Trek Picard was shutting down production on season 3
God.
after, and I quote, dozens of cast or of crew members test positive for COVID. Patrick Stewart was apparently not one of them. Thank God.
Thank goodness. Yes.
Yeah. Well, apparently they only
Had
halted
enough
for about a
sadness this
week. I'm sorry, what?
Had enough celebrity sadness this week.
Yes, we don't. Yeah, definitely. We don't need any more, and we certainly don't need Patrick Stewart to be one of those ever. So apparently there was a temporary halt that only lasted a week. So it looks like they're back in production as of this week. But still, that's just one indicator. Those two pieces of news are indicators of just how bad this is. So we'll see. Now E3 may change its mind.
I wouldn't hold my breath.
Well, all the predictions are that this spike is going to stop by the end of this month. That it's super fast in the way it's running through the population, as was apparently the case in South Africa. And by June, we could be back to, late summer status like we were here in the States when cons were actually coming back. Or we could be into the next after Omicron. I don't think it would be pi. Anyway. But yeah, so it's a problem, folks. And it's a problem for our nerd conventions.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, this is... I wish Greg was on the show because this is so up Greg's alley. These are 3 of the many cast members that will be in the upcoming Netflix adaptation of the Roald Dahl story, The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. That is, of course, Dev Patel, Ralph Fiennes, Sir Ben Kingsley. Included in that, and not in this picture, is Benedict Cumberbatch, who will play the title character of Sugar. And it's being made by Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson is making a Netflix movie, folks, based on a Roald Dahl book.
That's two great tastes that taste great together. I
So
just got
I, yes, I intellectually agree with you. I'm not a fan of Wes Anderson. I just his movies to me are just too cutesy. You know, they're too twee. Um,
I mean, that's part of the charm for me.
and that is for an awful lot of people, and I get it. I really do. One of the few that I really like is the Royal Tenenbaums because it's a lot more. It's more of a dark twee. I mean, it. You know, that's a movie with. You know, there's not a lot of. Oh, look! Isn't that great? Mr. Fox is doing something really cute and interesting. Or Islands of Dogs, or any of the other stuff. Um,
Like Rushmore.
yeah, actually, yeah, his earlier stuff had a tendency to be a lot darker, frankly. Um,
Or at least a little bit more on the cynical side.
yeah. Um,
Grand Budapest.
well, I think
Actually, that was kind of cute.
yeah, Grand
That was kind of
Budapest is pretty
cutesy.
twee, pretty cutesy. So anyway, but that's just me. That's I understand. He is adored by a lot of people, including Greg. Um, and Greg also is a fan of Roald Dahl's more not quite geared towards teen books. Um, and this is one that is not a child's book like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's a little bit more geared towards an adult. It's not an adult book, but geared towards a more mature audience. um
I will say though about his children's books, at least like he did something that I feel a lot of YA authors don't do, which is push the envelope over what what he believed that audience could handle.
oh yeah.
So,
Oh, he never talked down to the kids, even in his kids books. That's 100% true. um uh, and I appreciate that. Frankly, that's one of the things that I like about anime, is that Japanese audiences rarely, and it's not always the case, but rarely talk down to their audience, which they know those shows are geared, like shonen shows are geared towards, tweens and teenage boys. Um,
they know their audience
they know their audience, but they also don't talk down to them like anything in the United States geared towards that audience would. Anything you might say
unless
about.
you are that cult unless you're that cult leader in Japan.
Well, yeah, that yeah. Yeah, the least said about any of that weird stuff, there are anime in Japan, that are just, anyway. Um,
Kandare.
so the, where were we? Roald Dahl. Yeah, so Roald Dahl's books don't talk down to children, you're right, but the more mature books are even, therefore, somewhat more mature. Um, again, Netflix, no idea when this is happening. Netflix, back in September, we talked about this when it happened, bought the Roald Dahl company. So essentially bought all the IP for all Roald Dahl works. So it'll be interesting to see, where this goes. If nothing else, what a cast. And what a director. If that's what it took to get Wes Anderson onto Netflix, kudos to Netflix.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, I would. Honestly, I would be. I'll definitely give it a shot. Mainly because of the cast, but it'll be interesting to see how Wes Anderson works within the Netflix system. This is, of course, the cast of Bob's Burgers. This is actually during one of their when they were essentially ripping off the Simpsons opening.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The moment you said Bob's Burgers, I went to sleep.
Oh. Well, yeah, I know there are a lot of people who don't particularly get Bob's Burgers humor. I find it funny whenever I watch it, but I'm not slavishly devoted to it like a lot of. Again, Greg is a huge fan. Gogo's a huge fan.
I know people love it, and I respect their taste.
Yeah. But the news is that the first trailer for the Bob's Burgers movie dropped, and it's pretty weird, in keeping with Bob's Burgers. It makes not really a whole lot of sense in keeping with Bob's Burgers.
Kind of like the show.
Kind of like the show. And it is probably the the best use of Fortuna Imperatrix Mundi from the Carmina Burana since actually Excalibur. It's hilarious. Just the idea that that's what they use for the background music for this, basically this last 2/3 of this thing, is really funny.
Now, is it going to be a theatrical release or is it going to be like a TV movie?
I believe it's a theatrical release. Theaters in May 27. Now, we don't know whether or not that's going to be screwed up by any further changes to theater schedules and movie release schedules, but that's what it currently is still set for May 27th. Just in time for the grilling season to start. Bob's Burgers.
Haha.
Well, I mean, honestly, that's kind of the trailer, is they're out on a pier, with a portable burger stand for the summer season. Anyway, our next topic is, speaking of trailers, the latest trailer for Uncharted, starring Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, dropped. It's actually not it's the first 2 minutes, apparently, of the upcoming movie. Not the first 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes in the middle. The scene where they are basically falling out the back of like a C-130 or a C-5A
Yes.
cargo plane. It's exciting. It's not as dumb as the second trailer with the, levitating the ancient Spanish galleons, which really got me not that interested.
You and a lot of people on the internet. You and a good chunk of the internet, honestly.
Yep. So go check it out, folks. It's actually, it's pretty interesting. What it does show, oh crap, I forgot to look up her name. The primary woman lead is a badass.
Well, isn't the character she's playing taken straight from the game?
Yes. And is apparently also a badass in the game, but the actress is really pulling it off, and it's really cool. That's the most interesting thing about this trailer, in my mind, anyway. Not trailer, again, 2 minutes of actual movie footage from the middle during the scene. So go check it out, folks. It's not going to give away anything. You've actually seen parts of this already in the previous two trailers. This is just, the full 2 minutes around that. So, so our penultimate topic, that, if you've watched Hawkeye, you would recognize as Ivan, one of the two only speaking roles of the Tracksuit Mafia in Hawkeye. The actor is Alex Paunovic, and he is, according to this story, set to star in, and you would have to assume that this will actually happen for that to happen, and executive produce a science fiction NFT access series called Gen Zeros.
Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm sorry. My brain is breaking from this.
Yeah. So the concept of the series sounds interesting. It's 200 years after an alien invasion has left the world devastated. 10 factions fight to control the future of humanity. Sure. I like the concept. Alien invasion, post-apocalypse, whatever.
Where does the NFT part come into play, though?
So, to watch this series, viewers will have to purchase an NFT from the production company called House of Kiba's website to get access to the entire Gen Zero's universe. So it includes the series, it includes webcomics, and one would assume digital collectibles. Um, this is from Deadline. Each level of NFT ownership will endow different benefits, with the top level allowing fractional ownership of the series. This series will not happen. Just it's.
I mean, on paper, it's saying, but this is this can only go down in flames.
It won't get off the ground. I mean, they have to get financing, and here's one of the things they even say this. The project is among the first blah 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 set to include. Providing financing comes through, episodes are due to begin releasing in early March.
NFTs are not, but NFTs. First, you have NFTs are not copyrights. So, that's what a lot of these people who are dealing in this crap don't seem to understand. It's like there's nothing to protect. There's nothing to protect your IP from being duplicated by people and turned into torrents.
Exactly. So essentially right now, instead of going through Kickstarter to develop this series, they are essentially using what is a scam. This is my opinion.
Mine as well.
But I think the idea of trying to fund this by having people buy NFTs is literally just a scam. If they were doing it through Kickstarter or Indiegogo or any of the other ways you can fund creative projects, I would be sure it may not happen. And certainly there's plenty of people who have scammed people on Kickstarter. But this method of fundraising via digital ownership
might be the dumbest thing I've heard.
It won't work. They will not get this show to happen.
I do want to say one thing. This, like, part of this entire scenario channels my inner musical nerd. Like, this reminds me of, like, the crux of the plot of The Music Man, where you have Professor Harold Hill selling these instruments to kids in the hope, giving the small town Iowa hope that their kids will become will become a sound band through his BS method, the Think method. That's what this entire scenario reminds me of.
Yeah, pretty much. This is yeah.
We're going to Harold Hill.
If there isn't a song 76 trombones, I don't know what's going on here. So if it does happen, more power to the people. But I mean, it can't happen because the only way to see it is to have purchased an NFT, which means it can't get wider distribution. And if it does get wider distribution, everybody who purchased an NFT to get access to it has just wasted their money. Who's going to make a show that can only be seen by a minuscule fraction of the population? It's the dumbest idea I've heard in a very long time.
Well, this is probably why they don't have bigger stars involved with this project.
Right. Although, as they put it, apparently the idea of NFT-based or NFT access-based entertainment is not new, and they're not the first ones doing it. But they do say he is probably the biggest name that's done it, because he was also in the series Van Helsing. And the Van Helsing writers, Matt Van Abels and Jeremy Smith, are going to be showrunners. Good luck, folks.
I would have loved to have sat in on this meeting, this planning meeting. I know that much.
I want to know how the people involved in the creative end gut sold the fact that this could be financed via NFTs, and that their show will therefore only be seen by those few people who are spending money on the NFTs. Anyway, our last topic, a much, much better, much more traditional TV series concept. Um, this Vault Dweller from Fallout right here is, of course, the wonderful Micro Kitty, good friend of the, and actually occasional contributor to Nerd Caliber, part of the team. Um, the news is that Kilter Films is going to be making a TV series for Amazon Prime based on Fallout, with Jonathan Nolan directing, um, and I think the heads of this Kilter Films, Nolan and Lisa Joy, being the showrunners. No, the showrunners are Geneva Robertson Dorette from Captain Marvel and Graham Wagner from Silicon Valley. So, and it's Amazon, and we already know Amazon throws money at series. Look at Wheel of Time. Look at The Expanse.
The Boys.
The Boys, absolutely. So, I think this has the potential to be really good, and just hiding that message there. Love something because I can't read the script. Sorry. It's all just spam emojis. So thank you for all the thumbs up in all those emojis, by the way. But we don't put spam emojis in our chat. I'm looking forward to this. I talked to our team member Lewis, who's not on the show tonight, about this. And I was wondering about the sort of humor aspect of it by having one of the Silicon Valley showrunners on. And he's really keen on that because apparently all of the, or at least the first two games, were very funny. They got a little bit more serious when you hit Fallout New Vegas and so on. But, the first two games
Even then, it still had like its little bits of humor.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Even though I will argue to the death that Benny is just a poor man's handsome Jack.
Which came first though? I don't know. I'd have to look that up. Luminous. Amazon Prime has surprised me with its extensive quality content. I've been checking it more frequently. Yeah, they've really. They made a commitment a couple. Sorry, go ahead.
And it's just going to keep coming. I promise you that.
Well, you got the Lord of the Rings series coming up.
Vox Machina. Vox Machina.
Vox Machina. Yeah, I mean, Amazon Prime has got a lot of interesting things happening. So, yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this. Again, doesn't say when we're going to see this. It's Amazon. Amazon does take a while to produce their content. Looking for anything that it says about it. Nope. But this Robertson Dorette, who co-wrote Captain Marvel, also co-wrote Tomb Raider, the 2018 version.
Oh.
So, good work. Looking forward to it. All right, folks, that is it for all the news. Byron, I think you've kind of already mentioned this, but I think you had a could we please, could we not?
Oh, yes. Could we just not with the whole NFT thing anymore? Like, insulting to the arts as a whole. It's like you're telling me that this one company can own the rights to this image that can easily be procured in a Google search, and it's not like you can. It's not like from still being distributed freely on the internet. Like I was talking to Rodney about this last night. Like this is why I put like intrusive watermarks for all my art now. Whenever I put it on social media, it's like you see like my cheap knockoff of the Laughing Man logo and all these things, and it's gonna stay there until you pay me.
Exactly. there are so many things wrong with the whole concept of NFTs as it's currently being executed. Um, just because you have full transparency under the blockchain of any transaction with the NFTs doesn't mean that they're completely free of criminal activity. All the criminal has to do is figure out how to spoof their identity to the blockchain, as happened for the guy who had his whatever those apes or monkeys,
I was gonna say a stupid monkey picture.
yeah, stolen. You know, this isn't tough to figure out, folks. Just because the blockchain will tell you that, yep, this transaction happened and here are the people involved, doesn't mean that either side of that transaction, either of those people, are actually real people. So, yeah, it's I agree. The NFTs are Los Bonitas. Welcome to the very end of the show. Welcome to us from Argentina. But unfortunately, we're wrapping up. This is it. We've hit all our topics. But yeah, I agree with Byron 100%. Stop it with the NFTs. They are, for those people that are involved in them, they are either a scam or they are people who are not aware of the fact that they're a scam. And for every other artist, they're a problem. So
yeah. I'm going to quote Mean Girls. Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Yes.
It's not going to happen.
Sadly, for some people who are foolish enough, it will happen. There will always be people willing to be separated from their money. On that note, this is not what I want you to think of when you go to our patreon.com/nerdcaliber URL and think about being a patron. We don't want to separate you from your money for anything other than the goodwill of sending us to more cons and getting more content for us here on YouTube.
We can keep entertaining you guys.
And to entertain you, also get, articles and photo galleries and so on for nerdcaliber.com and so on. If you have a Patreon account or you are interested in supporting us, patreon.com/nerdcaliber is the place to go. So that's it, folks. That's our show. Thursday night, full fat spoiler chat will be Matrix Resurrections.
Still gotta watch that.
You still have to. Well, if you want to be on the show, you do. I mean, you could come on and say, "Oh, I didn't see that, so I don't know." Wouldn't be much of a show. So if you have seen it, or you don't mind spoilers, because we'll be spoiling it, hence the name Full Fat Spoiler Chat, please do show up on Thursday on all of our various social media things here. And next Monday is our top 3 interpretations of myth. And the reason is that because on our next Full Fat Spoiler Chat, 2 weeks from now, or 1 week from this Thursday, we'll be talking Wheel of Time. So definitely check us out for No Nerd Caliber next Monday. And when I say interpretation, we're clearly not talking about just some sort of retelling of Greek mythology wouldn't be the case, but the blood of Zeus would, if it didn't suck so much. But
you beat me to it.
Sorry, man. Anyway, that's it. Byron, give us a good night.
Hey guys, like I said before, I'm on multiple facets of the internet under Byron D0. Please check out my webtoon series, Sisterhoods. It's a fun time. I'm really starting to ramp up my storyline in the next couple of episodes. You're gonna want to be there on the ground floor because I'm going all in. I'm really passionate about it. It's gonna be dope.
Cool.
Have a good night.
Check it out, folks. And for me, that's also a good night. We'll see you at an upcoming show. Please stay safe. For those of the rest of us here in New England, please be warm. It's gone up to 9 now. So it dropped to 8, and now it's back up to 9.
Oh, it's
Oh,
Christopher
yay.
Eccleston agrees now.
Yay! Oh, haha. I hopefully it will not drop down to 4 because he was my favorite Doctor. But
Yes.
anyway, we'll see you in an
The
upcoming
Jelly
show.
Babies won't make it.
Hmm?
The Jelly Babies won't make it.
Exactly.